I like that whole part. All right, next one. And we're going to break this down in detail. Hanks goes to see Helen Hunt. This is my next most rewatchable scene. So she doesn't come to the little party for him at the airport terminal. Whether the husband kind of sabotaged that, it's up for debate. I'm willing to have the debate. If Chris or Sean was here, or both of them, I feel like we would be talking about this for 20 minutes. But she basically won't see him because she's too upset. But then he shows up at her house in a cab because he has to see her. And she's like surprisingly not surprised. Not that emotional, was just kind of lying in bed, wondering if maybe he would show up, and goes down. Here's the car. They start catching up. They talk a little about the Titans making the Super Bowl.
We went to the Super Bowl last year.
And I missed that.
Oh, you would have died. It was so exciting. They almost won by 1 yard. One lousy yard right at the end.
She starts making him coffee. Then they get sidetracked. She brings him into the living room, shows him the maps. And then he's like, here, you should take your car. All right, I'll see you. Thanks. Kiss, hug. He starts driving off. It's a rainstorm. She runs out in the driveway. Somehow he hears her in a rain. He's like 75 yards away from the house. We'll let that one slide. She runs out, screams, Chuck, Chuck, Chuck! Huge hug. Start making out in the rain. Go back in the car. They realize they've made a mistake, that it can't work. And he drives her back to the garage. She gets out. She walks into her house completely drenched. And Hanks drives off. And this is a really, really good, well-acted scene. Here, I'm going to do a nitpick now because it's super important. And I've certainly talked about this a couple times in columns and pods, but we're going to do it again. The husband never woke up during any of this? Really? Mr. Big, Chris Noth, just lying in bed. Chuck Nolan's back, the love of his wife's life. She's got, in the living room for some reason, all these maps trying to figure out where he crashed that she hasn't cleaned up yet, that are just still in the dining room. It's not a huge house. It's like, hey, can we eat at the dining room tonight, honey? We can't. That's where I keep all the maps where I'm looking for the lost love of my life. We can't use that room. Then they find Chuck. Does she get rid of the maps? No, keeps the maps. Still trying to figure out like what island he was in. That's weird. So Hanks is obviously on Mr. Big's radar here. Then she's going to go see him. Whether he cockblocked it or not, I don't know. But she's so upset she can't see him. She's sobbing. We see the shot of them. She's inconsolable. Then she gets out. There's commotion. There's a car that leaves his garage. They're screaming, Chuck, Chuck. There's a car backing up. There's a car going back into the garage. This guy's fucking asleep. What is he on, Xanax? Terrible. Terrible job by this guy. I mean, seriously. I wrote this a while ago and I'm going to read it again. Imagine your wife was engaged to someone who was stranded on a desert island for 4 years, dramatically escaped and became a worldwide celebrity, and she's an emotional wreck, and your dining room is covered in maps and sketches. Aren't you waking up every time she gets out of bed for a glass of water? Aren't you jumping at the sound of every car door slam? Wouldn't the noise of your wife screaming Chuck outside your house in the wee hours send you outside wielding a shotgun? So I wrote about this, and then a reader, Kyle in College Station, Texas, here's his theory. This was back in 2009, so this was right after the Rodgers Favre thing in Green Bay. He theorized, what makes you think the husband is sleeping? He needs to let his wife resolve the situation. So he's up there wide awake listening to every word. It's not like he can forbid her to see him. And then he writes, I think Hunt is the Packers, Hanks is Brett Favre, and the husband is Aaron Rodgers, just waiting to see how it works out. Well, I think that's a great analogy. We didn't realize in 2009, Favre was never coming back to Green Bay, and they would win the Super Bowl with Rodgers. So the dentist, maybe he played this perfectly. So either A, he's a complete dumbass shithead that he didn't wake up, or B, really calculating, thinking to himself, there's no way these guys can make it. We just had a kid. She's not ditching the kid, bringing back, hey, here's your new stepfather who's on an island for 4 years. His best friend is a volleyball. Not doing that. So he long games it. Maybe that's what he did. Maybe he played the long game. He's like, I'm going to let them work this out. Maybe they'll have one makeout kiss in the rain. But ultimately, Chuck's leaving. Chuck knows that this ship has sailed. And he was right. So either A, complete moron, or B, genius. Like played it like Belichick. Who knows? All right. The last rewatchable scene is the ending.